So thank you for following. I hope that was an interesting discussion for you as well. It was most definitely for me. Without further ado, we're going to stay on the topic of crypto and volatility and all of that with some excellent female leaders on the same topic that Yoni was talking about. So very, very delighted to have with us today Sanja from Utrust. We have Barbara, Daliri from Bitstamp, and we also have Michaela from Finoa. We're going to have all of them on the virtual stage and give a little bit of an introduction just to kick off the session. Hello, ladies. Who wants to start? I'll point to a volunteer. Michaela, do you want to start with a brief introduction?
Hey there. Thanks for the inviting. Yeah, I'm Michaela. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Finoa. I joined Finoa beginning of this year. So, and from my background, I have more than a decade of working experience in financial sectors. So the last 5 years I spent working at challenger banks as N26 and Revolut. So therefore it was obvious now after this hype to actually join the crypto scene. So therefore I'm very excited now to share my insights and input towards this panel.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us. Barbara?
Yes, thanks for having me. I joined Bitstamp, which is the world's longest running crypto exchange last year. I've been now there for 7 years, so we're obviously a crypto exchange operating across the globe. My background is I have been 25 years in internet, in tech, innovation, disruptive companies, and also my first 5 years helped to bring financial institutions, including large banks, on the internet in the early days of the internet.
Great. Well, also thank you for joining. Last but not least, Sanja, it looks like you're in an office, but I think it's a virtual background.
That's only the background. Hi, everyone. Thanks for the invite. I'm Sanja, CEO of Utrust. We are a Web3 payment solution and payment ecosystem. And basically, we allow anyone to easily pay with crypto and merchants to easily get paid either in crypto or fiat. Joined this space in 2018, although I've been involved in the crypto space before. And prior to Utrust, I spent almost a decade in e-commerce and traditional payments, let's call them. So prior to Utrust, I was at PayPal, and my team was developing the payment solution for marketplaces and had multiple roles at eBay and Vodafone prior to that.
Fantastic. That gives us 3 very, very nice different perspectives on the world of crypto. I don't know to what degree you were able to follow the previous session with Yoni from eToro, but one of the things we talked about was this whole, crypto has matured as an industry, obviously, in the last few years, but it's still extremely volatile. There is still so much going on affecting sort of the price and the movements on an almost hourly basis. And I know that as someone who trades crypto myself. So from your different angles, from your respective sort of companies and the products that you offer, how do you look at that sort of inherent volatility of crypto? Maybe Barbara, we can start with you.
Yes, happy to answer this. I mean, maybe I give you a threefold answer, right? So the first one is volatility is part of all systems, right? So the crypto market is behaving as other financial markets as well. I think that's the first piece. The second piece is, and you mentioned it, it's still a very young market, right? So we see more and more retailer, normal customers joining. We see more and more institutional investors joining. And this will for sure bring more stability, right? So that's the second piece. So the answer is it is a young market. So you see, of course, more movements. And the third piece is that because it is still new, it is, I think, really, really important that everybody who is getting her arms around it is well educated. So we, of course, has been in business for more than 10 years. So empowering our customers, no matter if they are institutional customers or retail customers, educating them how this market might tick specifically for the smaller coins is of course critical. But in general, I think we're seeing what we're seeing with young emerging markets everywhere. But it's important that you understand the mechanics if you want to invest.
I think that brings you to Michaela, because you work with a lot of institutional investors to offer custodian services to invest in crypto in a very secure way. So what's your take on this?
If you look at the market, then for sure there are some movements, especially in the last months. However, what we do see, it's relative stable how institutional investors actually behave. So our most important customers actually believe in the ecosystem as well as in DeFi. So therefore, they're not as focused on exposure to crypto in their mainly traditional portfolios. So based on that one, actually, it's fine. And also, if you do see it, institutions buy the dips. So that's a big difference in comparison to the crash in 2018, what we have seen. And from our point of view, we believe without these institutions, the market correction would be probably much more severe. So there's the trust in the system. And for sure, as already Barbara mentioned, the crypto asset ecosystem is still very young. There is a lot of new joiners throughout the system. And then on the other side, we have to expect that there is a constant evolution. And how we have seen, for example, crypto 2017, it's completely different as it's today. And we also can expect that the ecosystem will completely move also probably in a different direction in the next few years. So therefore, we need to be open. And then also the ones who are working with us, they trust in the system and they are open for this change.
Yeah, I love that you're both saying that it's a very young space. It doesn't always feel like that to me because I feel like it's sort of maturing at a very, very rapid clip. Sanja, you've been in this industry for quite a while. So what's your perspective on this?
Yeah, I have to say that we've seen a radical shift from our customers related to crypto and volatility in particular. So when we launched our solution in 2018, 100% of our merchants were accepting crypto to fiat. So basically, we would accept crypto payments from buyers and convert immediately in a fiat stable currency like euro, GBP, etc. And that's because, you know, they didn't want to be exposed to any volatility. They didn't want to hold crypto as an asset. And now the situation is changing radically. So now even, you know, smaller merchants, they want to accept crypto as a payment method. They want to hold crypto in their treasury. So we changed our product in a way that we can enable, you know, crypto to crypto payments. Merchants can settle in crypto, either, you know, in more volatile currencies like Bitcoin, for example, or stable coins as well. And that really, you know, shows a more mature market, shows more adoption, shows that, you know, merchants are more prone to understand crypto as an asset. And also what we're noticing is that we have different solutions, but for example, when using our invoicing or billing solution, more than 50% of our payments are done with stable coins. And that means that, you know, there's also a shift into using crypto as a real payment method rather than like a more volatile one. Because if you think about Bitcoin or Ethereum, most of the payments from people that we see on the platform are done to buy real estate or like a luxury item with a higher value, while stable coins are more used like for everyday purchases and goods and services. So there's a lot of shift as well happening in the last few years.
Yeah. Those are quite reassuring and positive words, I would say, from the three of you. But I can imagine that there's also sort of downsides to the atmosphere that we have at the moment because of geopolitical situation, wars, pandemics. Obviously, that has an effect on the crypto industry as well. As insiders, how do you sort of measure the temperature of the crypto community today? Is it still as positive as it was 3 years ago, pre-pandemic, pre-war? Or do you feel that there is a shifting conversation when it comes to the positivity of the sector? Maybe Michaela?
As already mentioned earlier, we don't see any negativity towards the crypto scene. There is dynamic for sure, and based on that one, this is what we see. But there is in general no big impact from our side. Yeah.
Good, Barbara. Any downsides or dark sides of this volatility that you're seeing?
Yeah, I think one needs to be naive, right? To say everything is ponies and rainbows, right? So that's for sure. But I think the current crisis which of course is a bigger topic, right? And likely more important than everything we're discussing here in this channel. I think will of course have an effect of how people will look at crypto. And it's too early to say, right? But you saw, for example, the Ukraine government raising support, right, through cryptocurrency recently. I don't have the latest number top of mind, but double-digit millions. So there seems to be an opportunity with this currency to do something, what I would call tech for good, which is great. We also do see different movements in the different regions. So you saw quite an outflow in Europe out of crypto, but you saw a significant higher inflow in the Americas, so in North America and in Canada specifically, right? And there are a couple of hypotheses behind, right, which is maybe this is an uncertain time, and it's not only the crisis, right? It's raising energy costs, it's inflation, it's the toll that we're paying, right, from COVID. But specifically, the fact that we are here in Europe, close to the border, right, and also more a mature region when it comes to crypto, might make people behaving differently than in the US. So I think, long story short, it's a little bit early to say, but I think what is important to note is that the global regulations, right, that we're seeing across the board, Europe has a lot of efforts. US, you see it, some regions are moving into taxing the income from crypto. I think all this regulation will for sure help to drive adoption, to make crypto investments, let's say, more predictable, and to build trust into this crypto. So I'm very, very positive when it comes to overall adoption, and regulation will be a driver.
Great. You gave me a perfect segue to the next question, which is going to be regulation. Lots of talk, both in Europe and US, of course, about crypto regulation. Sanja, is that also something that you welcome, these conversations and these decisions that are forthcoming, or do you fear that they might not be beneficial to the industry as a whole?
We totally welcome it. I think, there's a misconception in the market that whoever is working in the Web3 industry and blockchain and crypto is against regulation. But I think, for most of us, it's the opposite. And for us in particular, when working with merchants and customers and people transacting with cryptocurrency, they want to be reassured that, they know how to handle it. They know how it's, treated in their country. And we're receiving more and more requests from our merchants to develop a solution so that, they can handle their taxes efficiently at the end of the year when receiving crypto payments or when holding crypto. We're going to be using DeFi to generate yield for the merchants. So I think, when you look at that perspective, we would welcome to have a more unified regulation, especially in Europe, to understand how we can serve our customers better. And, right now, I think that's the main obstacle to adoption, together with, UX, UI, education, and everything else that I think can be more easily solved. I think, regulation is what is going to move the needle moving forward and in the next few years.
Yeah, Michaela, I'm going to assume that you have a similar opinion on this because you work with a lot of institutional investors. They, of course, welcome regulation usually. I'm guessing you sort of follow that notion as well?
Yes, we do. As you know, Finoa has a preliminary crypto custody license, and we're supervised
in Germany, right?
Yeah, in Germany, yes. And also, we do see the financial institution actually looking for that one. So they're actually eager on that one. This is one of the aspects of why they say, okay, Finoa is one of their choices due to the regulation. It's part of our differentiation to others. And we follow the latest news on how the regulation is in the market crypto assets. We've looking into what other ongoing initiatives actually do, and also how they want to regulate the crypto market, so that we then actually can adjust our offering, and then also work with our customers towards this and see how we actually can move regulation towards a business feature.
Great. Barbara, a bit of a specific question to you. So much competition going on in terms of crypto exchanges. banking apps now offering crypto trading and crypto exchange as a service. How does that feel like as an insider at Bitstamp? Like, do you feel the heat?
Exciting is my answer. Yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, everybody, right, is moving into maybe more blockchain, right? So I would say crypto is what one use case is out of so many, to mention NFTs, right? Security tokens and everything else. And yeah, you're right. The big players are moving in, the gaming industry is moving in, the traditional banks are moving in. So we see adoption, you could maybe say, across the board. No, seriously, of course, it has become an area where I would say the next 3-5 years will decide who belongs to the winners, so to say, right? And who has a relevant market share. So it's definitely very fierce competition. For us as Bitstamp, I always say, it sounds a little bit cheesy, but I think it's kind of trust. It's kind of true. We are built on trust, so it's not so easy. If you are entering this area, this industry, to really provide a safe and secure service for the customer. And this will, of course, make or break, right, the market and the development. And we luckily have quite a legacy in this. So I'm very confident and very optimistic about Bitstamp, but it is a fierce competition for sure. And if you like this, if you like change, then it's a very exciting industry to be in.
Yeah, I guess the same goes for Finoa, still a relatively young startup. I think you raised 22 million in funding. You're up against quite a lot of competition as well. How do you manage to build that trust with institutional investors? Because obviously you don't have that global brand yet. So how does this conversation usually go in the beginning?
I have to admit, I'm generally not as part of the general discussions with the sales and the commercial teams doing that one, because I'm taking care of the operations part. However, what I get as a feedback also towards our customer service, we do see a difference in also what our institutional clients looking for versus what actually retail customers maybe look into. So therefore, our offering is all about this custody services, also the staking services. So we now try, and also what we're working on is actually identifying how can we implement new protocols, products and services for our customers so that they actually can be part of this early adopters and forefront runners. And then on the other side, also institutions actually want to work directly also with the custodians. So you have a more close relationship to them and actually figure out, okay, what do they need? How do we can serve them? Kind of seeing it like as a white glove service, so that they actually have a customer service who cares about them. And this is also one part of this selling proposal or proposition towards their institution, why they join also Finoa. And then for sure, as mentioned, we are a German company. We are also regulated, so that makes also some of the difference. And then for sure, we have behind each of our service certain service levels. And if you look into that one, you just see that also customers which we are serving are a bit different than actually what end customers or retail customers are looking for.
Right. Similar question for you, Sanja or Sanja. I actually don't know how to pronounce. But how do you think your service will evolve in the future to sort of continue catering to the needs of your customers as they evolve as well?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, needs are changing. Our main customer is the merchant. So what we want to do is to really leverage the power of Web3 to redefine what a concept of a payment gateway is. So if you think about a payment gateway today, in Web2, without mentioning any names, because the mechanism is always the same, what happens is, if a merchant is using any of these payment gateways, and leaves the money on the platform itself will act as a bank. So they will, take their money, reinvest it, and the profits are not given to the merchant. They stay within the app, within the ecosystem. And we are redefining that in a way that if you're a merchant using our solution and, you choose to leave the money on the platform, we generate interest for you. So you can, transform basically the fees that you're paying into profits. And this is, I think, really the opportunity to leverage mechanisms like DeFi and Web3 to really give something that hasn't been done so far, to redefine what a payment gateway is on top of, decentralizing, disintermediating banks and traditional actors, but really, giving back the power and the opportunity to any merchant, even smaller ones, to actually earn money while using a payment platform.
Right. Similar question for Barbara on Bitstamp. Do you imagine diversifying your revenue streams and your services over time to become sort of a multi-service company, or do you think you'll stick mostly to crypto?
That's a very good question. I can tell you we're discussing it currently for sure, right? So to, as you said, diversifying the business, offering new product and services. I can nothing disclose in this call, so I would like to. But we're adding more services and also, I would say, a more fit for purpose user experience for institutional customers and also for retail customers. So there is a big opportunity to launch different financial products based on crypto. That's where we're working on. We're working on providing an even slicker and easier customer experience for, let's say, the broader mainstream, and also more, let's say, high touch prime services for institutional customers. So even without diversifying, there is a lot to do in just improving, adopting the user experience and also the coin offers and products. So we are on this. You will see more coming from Bitstamp.
Great. Michaela, similar question, and then we'll approach the end of the discussion and conclude. But how do you sort of see Finoa fit into the wider ecosystem as a whole in the next 3 to 5 years?
That's a very good question. For sure,
Thank you.
we are custodian on that side, so we are offering that kind of secure solution, so to save and store the tokens as well as the protocols. And for sure, we're going to move. We do have staking, and we will adjust towards the needs of our customers, what they're actually looking for, and that is going to be one of the key elements. So we're in close relationship with our customers to see, okay, what they're expecting, and then it's not like that you already know what in 5 years the industry needs. We don't even know, or we just have an indication on what the customers maybe need in 2 years or something like this. So based on that one, we're working on this one, and for sure something like delegating voting and interacting on smart contracts. This is, I believe, one of the key aspects also going forward, so that the ones who are participating in the system actually have an influence towards their system. So I believe this is going to be one of the direction, but for sure there will be a close relationship between us and our customers, and based on that one, we will actually further develop our products offering and service offering.
Great. Well, we're almost at the end of this discussion, but it's very, very cool to have sort of the perspective of crypto exchange, crypto asset management solution, and crypto payment gateway. So thank you for bringing that to the table. Final question for you. Keep it very brief because we're almost at the end. But what is your most controversial take on the crypto industry that you can muster up? What is sort of the non-conventional thinking that you currently have about the crypto industry and the way it's going to evolve? Michaela, maybe we can start with you.
Give me another moment to think about that one.
Okay, Sanja, do you have any controversial opinions ready to go?
It's not really controversial, but I think, soon what we will see is, right now, we see much more adoption in emerging countries that have, unstable currencies and governments where there's a lot of inflation, and therefore, people are using crypto to hedge their wealth. I think, probably what I expect is to see something similar in Europe, especially right now with like wars and pandemics going on, there's going to be a lot more instability. And because of that, people will see the light in the crypto space and blockchain. As Barbara said before, like even now, Ukraine is raising a lot of money with crypto. So I think that is actually going to accelerate adoption.
Great, thank you for sharing. Barbara?
So the question is that the most controversial take on crypto. I think it is a pretty controversial take to say crypto will be here for good and will move and will become a tech for good. I believe crypto has a huge opportunity to be this. So I would put this out, and also I would say as a challenge for everybody who is in the sector to do his or her bit to make crypto a tech for good, something that most people can benefit from. And we touched on this during the panel multiple times, right? Regulation is definitely a crucial part of it. And I think the most important piece for everybody in this area is to help to build trust into this industry and to empower people to benefit on this.
Yeah, fully support that notion of crypto for good and crypto for, with more trust. Michaela, in the meantime, have you come up with an answer?
Yeah, so for sure, what we do see if people enter the crypto scene or there, usually it's seen from a value and investment perspective. But I believe that we're still underestimating what actually crypto is about and the protocols can enable and empower. So therefore, we're going to see that it will impact also our real life going forward. And this is something what we don't talk about yet. So at the moment, it's more on a speculative and investment perspective. But what actually this technology can leverage and support our daily life, I believe this is something what we're literally going to be looking for in the next 5 till 10 years.
Thank you. Michaela, Sanja, Barbara, I cannot thank you enough for joining us for this discussion. Thank you for sharing insights and taking time of your busy schedule to join us today. And I hope you have a lovely rest of the day. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.